On the last weekend of January, we participated in Finnish Game Jam, which is part of the Global Game Jam, on site at the Metaplay office in Helsinki. Metaplay is a company that hosted a jam site for free if you wanted to attend the jam on site. The jam started at 4 p.m. on Friday and the time to return the game was 3 p.m. on Sunday. So we had approximately 48 hours to design and finish the game. I already had established a team before coming to the site. It consisted of 2 guys I had jammed with before and 2 I had not worked with before. Since most of us are programmers, I decided to take the role of a designer for this jam to enhance my skills in that area. Miguli obviously did all the art and the others focused on programming. When we arrived at the site, the atmosphere was super exciting and everybody just seemed to be in a good mood. I can't really describe this feeling too well. I think it's something that you need to experience yourself by attending a jam on site. We sat together into a lounge where there was a TV from which we watched the team reveal. The site had organized many different non-alcoholic refreshments and some snacks for us. The fridge and coffee maker were available for use non-stop for the jammers. After hanging out in the lounge for a while, the theme was revealed. This year's theme was Bubbles. What does this mean, Bubbles? Well, game jams most often have a theme that will be released in the beginning of the jam. This basically means that your game's main theme should be centered around bubbles somehow. After the theme reveal, we began brainstorming like crazy. We came up with multiple bubble-related ideas that we drew on the wall. We had a 2D side-scroller with a bubble gun that would trap enemies but also make bubbles for you to jump on. We had some ideas about a protective bubble around the player, also something about speech bubbles and so on. I have to say, brainstorming in the same room with so many people can become a bit chaotic and it might be hard to catch all of the best ideas and come up with an idea that inspires everyone. That's why almost always the first few hours in a game jam go towards brainstorming and designing the concept. The final idea that we decided to work on was a 4-player local party game where you play as a bubble on a 2D top-down level and try to shoot the other players with bubbles that detach from your body. When you hit the other player, their bubble would grow in size. This would make it difficult for them to move through the tight gaps on the level. Also, the larger a player was, the more ammo would they have. We added a lot of spiky things for the level that would make the player pop if they hit them. To make the level more interesting, I added a saw in the middle of the map and a feature that started to spawn walls around the level that would move towards the center. This way, the walls would push you to the saw in the middle if you were not fast enough to dodge them. I also wanted to have something moving in the level that would pop the player, so we added a cute hedgehog that runs around aimlessly and sometimes just decides to off themselves by getting caught between the saw and the walls. From the next morning, we were already developing the game fast. The jam site offered some fruit and coffee and I started by honing my design skills by creating a full game design document for the game. Something a jam game wouldn't necessarily need, but hey, I did it anyway to learn more about game design. Miguli had decided to take a super cool artistic direction for the game and was drawing everything with pen and paper. All the graphics in the game would be drawn with markers on post-it notes or grid paper and then moved to the computer by simply taking a picture of the drawing with a phone. I thought this art style was so cool and unique that it really made the party feeling in our game. Miguli will tell you more about the art now.
Thank you, Ville. Very cool. Before we dive deep in the notebook, let me explain why traditional. Recently I have been really enjoying having something tangible, something to just have. Like I have so many pictures on my phone, but I don't go looking back at them. But something like this, I just love to time flip through it, or just show it to people. And I didn't want to just be at the computer for the whole weekend. Also, this was very easy to do, so I didn't waste my whole weekend just making one 3D model or something. So, let's begin the tour. Here on the first page you actually see the main character of the game. So here you can see some obstacles. I wanted to bring out some color, so I just took some sticky notes. For bubbles to differentiate from each other, I gave them expressive eyes. In the end, we used only one set of eyes for each bubble and gave them different color outlines. Again, the outlines were just empty sticky notes. Also, we weren't sure if it's top-down or sideways yet. Here I started to combine some sticky notes to create a tree. I thought the game was going to be sideways, so that's why I made a tree. I don't know who came up with the name, but with the logo and user interface I wanted to keep it with the same style. So here is the player select screen that didn't almost make it in. So for each state I had to make a new sticky note. We wanted to have some sort of a roaming enemy for the game. This was a unique challenge because the character had to walk, so I needed to draw each frame of the walk cycle. Here is the first iteration of walls. We ended up going with different route in the end, which is making just a texture and overlaying it to the sprite. Next we needed something in the middle of the level that people needed to avoid. Naturally we chose a sawmill, and in the game it's made to rotate around itself. Also we needed some running particles. Again the user interface was made of sticky notes, so I needed some frames for the animation. Some animations were more destructive, so I couldn't keep them. I hope you guys liked this surface level tour of Notebook. Making the graphics were very enjoyable during the game jam. And the concept of having something tangible after the game jam has kept up with me. It evolved to quite a relaxing hobby, and I just love to go through these dumb sketches I have done during my trips. And I feel I could tell so much more about them than a photo I just took on my phone and forgot about. And now back to Ville.
After making the game design document, I needed to create a level design for the game. I started by making a circular 2D level for Unity with curved wall blocks. I made a few simple variations of the walls and made them into prefabs. Then I coded a system that would randomly choose a certain amount of these prefabs and spawn them outside of the play area. They would then start to squeeze around the center of the level, making the players pop against the saw in the middle if they did not dodge them and move through the gaps in the walls. At the same time, Miguli created the base level by adding some spiky things and the hedgehog that would pop the player on impact. We also added some static walls that would stay in the same spot, even though the round walls would squeeze towards the middle. Now, when the players tried to survive as long as possible, they had to dodge the walls and the other spiky hazards to stay alive for as long as possible. On the evening of the second day, the base game was ready with all the necessary features, but we had a problem. Connecting 4 controllers at the same time turned out to be a real pain in the ass. Our programmers worked until 4 in the morning before they could get all of the controllers to work. I woke up the next day and rushed to the jam site, drank a lot of Pepsi Max and started to add audio to the game. I had purchased a music library from Humble Bundle, so I chose a couple of comedic type songs and added them into the game. The audio effects I downloaded from opengameart.org and modified them a bit with Audacity to suit more into our game. We finished the game just in time before the deadline, uploaded it into the Global Game Jam website and prepared to showcase it to the other jammers on site. All of the jammers gathered into the lounge and team by team showcased their creations to others. It was a super fun experience. There was a lot of humor and inside jokes and we laughed our asses off. We played a 4-player game a couple of times and explained a bit about the process of making the game. Our game got a good reaction and especially the name was a good one according to others. Pop Your Bro. After the Game Jam event, we registered to showcase our game at the IGDA Finland Helsinki February meetup. At every event, we have this demo corner to showcase new upcoming indie games. This month, the whole demo corner and the event was centered around games made in the Finnish Game Jam. Miguli will tell you more about demoing the game at the IGDA because I was sick with pneumonia and I couldn't attend.
Okay, so IGDA Finland meetup went pretty well. It was surprisingly busy for February and there was no sponsors at the event this time. So the whole night was about us, the games that were demoing. Also there was media presence making news about the event and games there. Also of course we had some problems. One of the game pads didn't work all the time, so I ran to store to get new cable for it, but that didn't even work too, but we managed to have a fun evening. There was almost always 4 players playing and people had fun. We even at one point had a Remedy game direct playing the game and I got a nice chat with him about game jams and stuff. So that was pretty much it. It was very pleasant and if you're in Finland / Helsinki area, go check Victa Helsinki and if you have game you can demo it there for free.
Thank you so much for watching our video. If you want to see more game dev content and us running our indie game company, please subscribe to the channel so you won't miss out on it. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.